Hey everybody, it's Kelly. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Therapist. Today I want to answer a question for you that has been asked either implicitly or explicitly to me a couple of times over the last few years. Are members of the LGBTQIA community more or less likely to be people pleasers? To be honest, you're not going to love my answer. Because my answer is, yeah, they're more likely. But also, I get the feeling that most people who ask the question already know that. Here's how this works. In reality, this is all about power and influence. People who have power don't need other people to think they're good, to think they're nice, to think really good things about them in general, because they have power and influence. They get the things that they need, they have the resources they need, they get the things done that they need done. People who don't have that need other people in order to get those same things. So if you are part of a marginalized community, if you are not somebody who is in power or who has influence, you need other people to like you. You need other people to see your worth. You need other people to think you're nice in order to get the things that you need. It's kind of a survival tactic. And in reality, the more marginalized communities you are part of, the more likely this is to be the case for you. Let's take this through a religious lens, right? Within the church itself, there is this phenomenon of spiritual gifts inventories. And every time you do a spiritual gift inventory in evangelical churches, shockingly, all of the women have the spiritual gifts of acts of service, and all of the men have the spiritual gifts of prophesying, right? So the men are doing these outward acts, and all of the women are taking care of the needs. So from birth, women are taught that they are the need meters. That's their job. But that also gives them a role, right? That gives them their importance. And if they have things that they need done, they need to be meeting the needs of the men, in order to get their needs met also. That also means if you make yourself indispensable to the people in charge, if you make yourself necessary, you will get your needs met. But sometimes getting your needs met is only half of the problem, right? You might get your needs met as far as food, shelter, basic necessities, right? Clothing. That doesn't mean you're getting your emotional needs met. That doesn't mean you have people seeing your worth. That doesn't mean you're being fulfilled. That doesn't mean you have like relationships and stuff, right? It doesn't mean that people are seeing you for who you are or appreciating that. And that's a pretty basic human need also. To be seen and understood for who you are and accepted for who you are is kind of huge when it comes to self-esteem, when it comes to happiness. And you have the right to that. Let's be super clear on this. As a human being, you have the right to be seen for who you are and appreciated for who you are. The thing is, the more you get the message that there's something wrong with who you are, the more you're not going to be sure that acceptance exists. So consciously or subconsciously, this thing happens where you become an exuberant need meter, where if you work hard enough, if you try hard enough, if you are good enough, in fact, if you excel at certain things, then either when people find out this other part of you, or even if people already know this other part of you, that other part of you won't matter so much. That potential detractor from your worth and the ways that they see you, that potential problem won't be as big of a problem once they find out. However, that in and of itself is a problem. For you to have to work overtime to gain acceptance, to gain love, to gain approval from other people, so that this other part of you that is just as valid a part of you as anything else, for you to have to work overtime to gain acceptance and approval of this part of you, which is just as much a valid part of you as anything else, for that to be necessary, that makes their care for you very conditional. which essentially means that their acceptance doesn't mean anything. Like, what does it mean for them to accept this part of you if they're only accepting it because you made yourself indispensable to them? Because as soon as you stop being useful to them, why are they going to continue to accept, big air quotes there, this other part of you? And so much of this happens subconsciously, so obviously that's not like front of mind when we're doing it. But so often there are examples of people within the queer community that are trying so hard to be accepted, to be loved, to be liked, to be respected for what they bring to people's lives inside and outside of the community. And often that is motivated by a fear that this marginalized part of them, by this part of their identity that is not seen as acceptable within their society, the motivation is acceptance of that part of them. And I hate that for any of us who are doing that, because everyone deserves acceptance of the whole just because you exist as a person. And in reality, people who aren't accepting you as a whole, people you have to like tuck parts of you away for, are not people who need to get your energy on the regular basis. I'm talking about those relationships that like matter, those relationships that you are trying to keep in your life as long time and long-term relationships. You should not have to work hard to prove your worth to people who should be loving you for who you are. Your worth should be clear to them. The things that you do for them should not be what your worth is wrapped up in. Now, obviously, as soon as I put this video out, we're going to get the comments of, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I let go of that a long time ago. And that's great. And there was still the choice to have to do that, because this is still a fact, whether you lean into it or not. Some people lean into it subconsciously, some people lean into it consciously, and some people consciously run away from it. No matter what, it's still a fact that impacts your life. When you are a member of a marginalized community, you have to work harder to get resources that people who are not part of a marginalized community have access to. That's on the other side called privilege, right? And often that working harder means people pleasing, need meeting, being everything to everyone so that they constantly need you to be there for them, with them, solve their problems, fix their boo-boos, whatever it is that you need to do so that they will continue to want you in their lives. So how do we stop? Well, first you have to want to stop. I'm going to be real honest. If you don't want to stop, then I guess you could probably turn the video off right now. Have a great day. If you do want to stop, it really does start with recognizing your inherent worth as a person and recognizing where your boundaries are. Some people genuinely do just want to help other people because that's kind of who they are, right? And so the things that you do going out of your way for other people are going to look different than other people who maybe only go out of their way for the few close people who are like right in their inner circle. There's nothing wrong with either of those. That's just kind of who people are. The motivation for why you do the things you do is so important to pay attention to. And you're the only one who knows that. You're the only one who knows if you are going above and beyond for somebody just genuinely because you care and you have that kind of energy to spend, or if you're doing it because that is the only way you know how to be significant in someone's life. If it's the first one, then as long as you have the energy, continue to do so. If it's the second one, you might need to examine that relationship, that friendship, that family connection, whatever it is. Do you want to have to go above and beyond all of the time to be significant to that person? Is that person going above and beyond? Like, are they matching your energy? And if they're not, what's happening in that relationship? Ask yourself what that motivation is for you, because that's going to be important to deciding what your next steps are. So recognizing that you're doing it and then examining each instance you're doing this, those are the first two steps. The third step is making a decision. You need to make a decision. Who do you want to be and who do you want in your life? You actually do get to choose who you give your energy to and who gets to influence your energy. Like, I don't care what your belief system is or how you feel about anything outside of like human beings, but Everyone has walked into a room and felt an energy shift when someone is feeling something, right? You know that people influence each other's energies. Someone's in a bad mood and you know it, and then other people get in a bad mood. Like, you know that happens. That's not like a spiritual thing. That's just like a human energy thing. Who do you want to share your energy with? And how do you want that to happen? Do you have people in your life that genuinely see you for who you are and what you bring to them? And do you appreciate other people in your life for what they bring to you, aside from what they do for you and aside from what you do for them? Because it goes both ways, right? Okay, so those are just some steps to start with. This is unfortunately a very real issue within our community, and it does impact the way a lot of people interact with one another in our community, with people outside of our community, and for a lot of us, with our families. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to continue that way. Knowledge that it's happening and taking the steps to take that power back can actually begin to rebalance those power scales. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next time. And until then, take care of yourselves and each other.